Chapter 3, Patterns Hidden in Plain Sight. The joke's on you, patterns are everywhere. Here's the hilarious thing about Pick 3. Players scream it's all random, while unknowingly tripping over the same repeating footprints every single day. It's like stepping on the same Lego brick in the same hallway every morning and then acting shocked. How did that get there? Spoiler, it was there yesterday. It'll be there tomorrow. And the lottery, just like life, loves repeating itself. But most players are blind. Why? Because they don't want to believe the obvious. Believing it's random is their excuse. Oh well, it's just luck. Nothing I could do. That's the lullaby losers sing themselves to sleep with. Patterns aren't hiding, you are. Let me persuade you with some tough love. The lottery isn't hiding its secrets. You are hiding from them. Think about it. Numbers repeat. Doubles cluster. Pairs echo. Entire weeks lean heavy on certain digits. That's not chaos, that's rhythm. But instead of tracking the rhythm, most players slap down numbers like they're throwing darts in the dark after 3 margaritas. And then they cry about bad luck. No, pal. It's not bad luck. It's bad vision. Imagine this. Imagine knowing where the next cluster is forming. Imagine spotting a repeat before it repeats. Imagine walking into the store, buying your ticket, and smiling, while everyone else mumbles about gut feelings and lucky dreams. That confidence? That swagger? That's what happens when you train your eyes to see the patterns hiding in plain sight. And the best part? It's not rocket science. You don't need a PhD. You don't need a crystal ball. You just need discipline, a pencil, and a willingness to stop playing like a fool. The average player. Let's mock the average player for a second. Because honestly, they deserve it. They say, I don't believe in patterns. It's all random. Then play the same number every day for a year. They say, numbers don't repeat. Then curse when yesterday's hit shows up again. They say, you can't predict the lottery. Then base their prediction on their cat sneezing 3 times in a row. It would be hilarious if it weren't so tragic. They're standing in front of a giant blinking billboard that says, look here, numbers repeat, patterns exist. And they squint, shrug, and go back to worshipping luck. Why patterns repeat? Here's the persuasive truth. Patterns repeat because math demands it. With only 1000 combinations, 000 through 999, numbers don't have infinite freedom. They recycle. They echo. They loop. Doubles, like 112, 454, 909, don't just appear, they surge in waves. Mirrors, like 1 2 3 and 6 7 8, don't just happen, they balance each other. Hot digits hang around like that friend who overstays his welcome at your house party. If you don't study these flows, you're volunteering to lose. But if you do, you suddenly move from victim of randomness to student of rhythm. And in Pick 3, rhythm pays. Patterns in action. Let's use a real example. Say 161 hits. The lazy player shrugs, says cool, and moves on. The pattern seeker says, Step 1, flip the digits, mirror math. Suddenly, you're staring at 616. Step 2, watch the doubles around it, like 166, or 611. Step 3, notice if the neighbors, like 160 or 162, have been active. Within a day or two, boom, 882 hits. The pattern wasn't hiding. It was waving its hands in your face. But losers missed it, because they were too busy asking their horoscope for help. Astrology versus arithmetic. Speaking of horoscopes, let's have a laugh. Imagine two players. Player A tracks patterns, understands rundowns, sees repeats forming. Player B refuses to look at data, but checks if Mercury is in retrograde before buying a ticket. Guess who walks away with the win? The stars don't care about your numbers, friend. Saturn isn't sitting there deciding whether 514 or 919 is due tonight. But arithmetic? Arithmetic never lies. Why this matters to you? Here's why this chapter should light a fire under you. Every single drawing is either a repeat, a flip, or a mirror of something recent. Always. You don't need to guess. You don't need to pray. You just need to see. And once you see, you can't unsee. You'll start recognizing repeats, numbers that hit twice in a week. Clustering digits, when 2 and 6 keep tagging along together. Doubles and triples, the lottery's way of slapping the lazy awake. That's when you stop saying, I hope I win, and start saying, I expect to win. Why people ignore plain sight. Let's dig into human psychology for a second. Why do people ignore patterns that are practically screaming? 1. Ego. They don't want to admit they've been wrong for years. 2. Fantasy. Believing it's random keeps the dream alive without responsibility. 3. Work. Tracking patterns requires consistency, and consistency is kryptonite for most people. But here's the kicker. The people who do put in the work are the ones cashing tickets, while everyone else is cashing reality checks. You can't afford to stay blind. Let's be blunt. If you're still ignoring patterns after reading this, you might as well hand your money to the cashier and say, don't even bother printing the ticket. Just donate this to the state. Because that's what you're doing, donating to the ignorance fund. Meanwhile, the player who understands patterns isn't playing lucky birthdays anymore. They're playing strategically, intentionally, intelligently. And they're smiling while you're sulking. The challenge. So here's my challenge to you. Start seeing what's been hiding in plain sight. Open your notebook. Track the repeats. Circle the doubles. Highlight the clusters. Do this for 30 days, and you'll start seeing what 90% of players never will. Once you see it, the game changes. Forever. You'll walk into the store knowing why you're picking a number. You'll stop wasting money on garbage guesses. And you'll finally feel the thrill of playing with intention instead of blind hope. The final word, patterns equal power. At the end of the day, patterns are power. They're not secrets. They're not hidden. They're right there, waiting for you to wake up. The losers will keep chanting, it's random. The winners will keep smiling, cashing tickets, and quietly thanking the blindness of the crowd. So the question is, are you going to keep tripping over the same Lego brick every morning? Or are you finally going to look down, see it, and step around it with purpose? Because in pick 3, The Lego brick isn't going anywhere. But neither is the pattern. And once you choose to see it, you'll never play blind again. Chapter 4, The Power of Rundowns, 111, 123, 223, and more. What's a rundown, anyway? Let's cut through the fluff. A rundown is nothing more than a way of breaking down one number and spinning it into a sequence of possibilities that, surprise, surprise, often leads you straight to the next winning number. It's the lottery equivalent of turning one slice of pizza into a whole box. You start with something small, multiply it, flip it, and suddenly you've got an entire buffet of possibilities staring at you. And if you think it's some complicated voodoo reserved for geniuses in lab coats, let me slap that myth out of your head right now. Rundowns are simple, effective, and dangerous. Dangerous for the lottery, not for you. Why rundowns work? The Pick 3 game only has 1000 possible outcomes, 000 through 999. That's it. This isn't infinite. It isn't unknowable. It's a pond, not an ocean. Rundowns exploit that by forcing order into the so-called chaos. When you take a number, say, 614, and run it through a formula, like 111, 123, 223, 317, etc., you reveal cycles, flips, and clusters that show you where the next number is likely hiding. The average player shrugs and says, too much work. But here's what you need to tattoo on your brain. The players who put in the work are the ones cashing tickets. Lazy players? They're just lottery donors. Thank them for their service. Imagine this. Picture yourself sitting down with yesterday's winning number. You run it through a simple 111 rundown, and suddenly you're staring at a neat column of numbers. In that column, tomorrow's winner is grinning back at you. Now imagine you add the 123 rundown. Another grid of numbers, more clues. Then the 223 rundown. More patterns pop out like hidden treasure maps. You go to the store, play a few picks based on what your rundowns are screaming at you. And the next night you're standing at the counter with a smirk, while everyone else mutters about luck. That's not luck. That's leverage. The average player versus the rundown master. Let's laugh for a second. Average player, I'll just play my birthday. It has to come one day. Rundown master, cute. Meanwhile, I've got 5 rundowns pointing to doubles this week, and yesterday's 161 told me exactly what was coming. Average player, it's all random. Rundown master, then why did my 223 rundown practically scream the next draw, and yours just screamed back at you with another losing ticket? You get the point. If you're ignoring rundowns, you're basically walking into a gunfight with a water balloon. The power of the 111 rundown. The 111 rundown is the simplest, and that's why it's deadly. You take yesterday's number, add 111, and keep building. Example, yesterday's draw is 614. 614, 725, 614 plus 111, 836, 947, 058. Before long, you're staring at a full set of numbers that actually cycle through the possibilities. And if you track carefully, you'll notice that the winners keep creeping back into this cycle. Lazy players don't see it. You will. The 123 rundown, the show-off. The 123 rundown is flashier. Instead of adding the same number, you add a sequence, plus 1, plus 2, plus 3. Why does this matter? Because it forces the digits to move in sync, revealing connections between numbers that the random crowd refuses to acknowledge. It's like teaching numbers to dance. They line up, step in rhythm, and before long, you're watching the next draw unfold like a choreography rehearsal. The 2-2-3 rundown, the heavy hitter. Now the 2-2-3 rundown. This one's a beast. Why? Because it exaggerates certain digits and drags patterns to the surface that other rundowns miss. Doubles, for example, become much easier to track when you run through 2-2-3. It's almost as if the digits lean forward and whisper, "Hey buddy, I'm about to repeat. Don't miss me." And most players do miss it, because they never bothered to look. Other rundowns, 3-1-7, 3-5-7, 6-4-9, 7-7-7, 9-7-3, 9-9-9. Each rundown has its own flavor. 3-1-7 rundown, perfect for catching mirror pairs. 3-5-7 rundown, exposes doubles and triples with scary accuracy. 6-4-9 rundown, taps into odd even flows. 7-7-7 rundown, think of it as the loudspeaker rundown, it makes hot digits practically shout. 9-7-3 rundown, tracks repeats like a bloodhound. 9-9-9 rundown, simplifies everything, cuts through noise. The point is, the more rundowns you know, the more angles you've got. And the lottery isn't built to handle a player with multiple angles. Why you can't ignore this? Here's the painful truth. If you're not running numbers, you're playing blind. Period. You can't keep walking into the store, scribbling random digits, and praying for mercy. The lottery doesn't hand out mercy. It hands out money to the people who study. And if you're not studying, you're funding someone else's win. Do you really want to be the guy who pays for another player's vacation? Because you couldn't be bothered to run a simple 1-1-1 rundown? The dreamer versus the doer. The dreamer buys a ticket, stares at it, whispers, "Please hit." The doer runs the 1-1-1, 1-2-3 and 2-2-3 rundowns, circles overlaps, and plays with strategy. Guess who's laughing on payday? Hint, it's not the whisperer. The rundown advantage. Think of rundowns as your cheat codes. They're not illegal, they're not unethical, and they're not even complicated. They're just the difference between driving blindfolded and driving with headlights on. With rundowns, you spot repeats. With rundowns, you know when doubles are due. With rundowns, you cut your risk in half while doubling your confidence. And let's be blunt, confidence feels better than losing. Action time. So here's your move. Stop guessing, stop donating, and start running. Pick a rundown, 1-1-1, 1-2-3, 2-2-3, doesn't matter. Run yesterday's number. Watch the cycle unfold. Track it for a week. By the end, you won't just believe in rundowns. You'll wonder how you ever played without them. Because once you see the power of rundowns, you can't unsee it. And once you use them, you'll never go back to playing blind. The final word, patterns within patterns. Here's the kicker, rundowns don't just show you patterns. They show you patterns inside patterns. And that's the whole game. Pick 3 isn't about luck. It's about spotting what everyone else refuses to see. Rundowns are the magnifying glass. The players without them? They're ants, wandering aimlessly. So laugh at the randomness crowd. Smile at the luck believers. And then quietly use your rundowns to cash in while they keep funding the prize pool. Because in Pick 3, knowledge isn't just power. It's profit. Chapter 5, Frequency, Hot Numbers, and Cold Numbers. The dirty little secret the lottery hopes you ignore. Let's get one thing out of the way, the lottery is not random chaos. Sure, they'll tell you it's pure chance. They'll put on their smug suits and wave their certified randomizer certificate. But here's the truth, patterns emerge. Always. And nowhere is this more obvious than in frequency tracking. A fancy way of saying, which numbers keep showing up like that one annoying cousin who never leaves the party. Enter hot numbers, cold numbers, and everything in between. Hot numbers, the show-offs. Hot numbers are like that kid in class who always had their hand up. Pick me. Pick me. And guess what? The teacher, aka, the lottery draw machine, keeps picking them. These are the digits or combinations that appear more often than average in a given period. And if you're not tracking them, you're basically ignoring the loudest signals screaming at you from the data. Now, will hot numbers always win the next draw? No. But statistically, they have this nasty habit of sneaking back in sooner than you think. It's like fire. Touch it, you'll get burned. Ignore it, you'll still get burned. Cold numbers, the divas in hiding. Cold numbers, on the other hand, are the drama queens. They vanish. They sulk. They don't want to be seen. But here's the joke, sooner or later, they always come back. Cold numbers are like washed-up celebrities, disappearing for a season, only to stage a comeback that everyone pretends they didn't see coming. When a cold number finally hits, it often does so with flair, like double appearances in a week, or in combo with other overdue digits. So the smart player? They don't ignore cold numbers. They stalk them. Why frequency matters. Here's what the lottery doesn't want you to realize. When you start analyzing frequency, you shift from playing hope to playing probability. Hope says, maybe my birthday will hit. Probability says, 2, 6, and 9 have hit 10 times this month. What do you think is more likely? One of these players is about to cash a ticket. Spoiler, it's not the birthday gambler. Imagine this. Picture this. You're staring at your rundown charts, sipping your coffee, and beside them is your frequency tracker. You notice that 7 has hit in the last 3 draws, 6 keeps tagging along, and 0 hasn't shown its face in 2 weeks. What do? You circle 7. You circle 6. You make a mental note that 0 is like a jealous ex, it's coming back. Then you line them up in plays. The next draw hits. 2 of your digits land. You smile like you've just robbed the lottery blind. Which, in a way, you did. That's frequency at work. Satire break, the birthday player versus the analyst. Birthday player, I play 314 because it's my daughter's birthday. Analyst, that's cute. I play 167 because 1 and 6 have hit 5 times this week, and 7 is due after 12 cold days. But sure, happy birthday to your kid. The birthday player loses, again. The analyst cashes, again. You want to be the analyst. How to track frequency without losing your mind. Here's the kicker, you don't need a degree in statistics. You don't need a $10,000 computer. You don't even need to pretend you like math. You need a spreadsheet, yes, the same one we've been building. Column A, your dates. Columns B through D, the drawn numbers. Columns E through J, frequency counts. You tally. You update. You watch hot and cold numbers dance in and out. It's not rocket science, it's persistence. And persistence pays. The myth of the randomizer. Let's satirize the lottery machine for a moment. The officials say, this machine ensures perfect randomness. Reality, that's funny, because 7 has been drawn 6 times this month, and 3 hasn't shown up in 3 weeks. Random? My calculator is laughing at you. Here's the dirty joke, randomness doesn't erase probability. In fact, probability feeds on it. The more draws you watch, the more frequency patterns slap you in the face. Why you're already losing without frequency? Let me be blunt. If you're not tracking frequency, you're playing with half a deck. It's like showing up to a boxing match with one glove. You're getting knocked out, and the worst part is, you don't even know why. Hot numbers tell you where the action is. Cold numbers tell you what's creeping back. Frequency shows you both, side by side. Ignore it, and you're just another donor in the lottery charity fund. What frequency gives you? Let's put it in plain terms, frequency tracking gives you confidence, you're not guessing, you're calculating. Clarity, you see the real trends, not the imaginary ones. Control, you play smarter, not harder. It transforms the game from a slot machine into a chess match. And trust me, the guy playing chess always beats the guy yanking the slot lever. Case study, The Tale of Number 9. True story. Number 9 went cold for 3 weeks in a row. People wrote it off, called it dead. But frequency tracking said otherwise. The longer 9 sat out, the more overdue it became. Analysts started watching. Players circled it. And then it hit. Not once. Not twice. But 3 times in a single week. The ones who tracked laughed their way to the cashier. The ones who ignored, they mumbled about bad luck. Luck had nothing to do with it. Frequency had everything to do with it. The players who refused to learn. Let's poke fun one last time. Some players will always say, the lottery is random, nothing works. You nod, smile, and take their money, because they're literally funding your win. These are the same people who believe in horoscopes but not in math. Think the machine has a grudge against their birthday. Swear they're due for a win while refusing to analyze anything. Bless their hearts. Without them, the prize pool wouldn't exist. Track or lose. So here's the decision. You can either keep guessing, keep losing, keep crying about bad luck, or start tracking frequency, hot numbers, and cold numbers. Start noticing the cycles. Start playing with insight, not ignorance. Because the truth is, the pick 3 isn't about hoping. It's about spotting what everyone else refuses to track. Hot numbers shout. Cold numbers whisper. Frequency is the translator. And once you hear the language, you can never unhear it. Final word, the edge you can't ignore. Here's the bottom line. Frequency analysis isn't sexy. It's not flashy. It's not going to get you applause at the bar. But it will do something better, it'll put money in your pocket. The players who track win more often. The ones who don't, they're the lottery's biggest donors. So don't be a donor. Be a collector. Track, analyze, play smarter. Because in Pick 3, frequency is the difference between hope and profit.